Bengaluru, the capital of Karnataka, is India's leading.
Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 1 hour. The presidential race remains neck to neck as the US awaits the first presidential debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump on Tuesday. Wildfires fueled by soaring temperatures in the western United States forces thousands to flee. Brazil faces severe drought amid devastating wildfires and low water levels in rivers. EU Foreign Policy Chief says European Union ready to offer logistical capacities to reopen Rafah border, urges political solution for Gaza conflict. US markets give thumbs up as Apple unveils new iPhone series built for a generative artificial intelligence. End of an unforgettable era as Hollywood mourns the demise of award-winning American stage legend James Earl Jones. US presidential race remains neck to neck as the US awaits the first presidential debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump on Tuesday. The 90-minute debate organized by ABC News will take place at the National Constitution Center in Philadelphia at 9 p.m. local time, that is 1 a.m. GMT. Pre-written notes are prohibited and mics will be muted to ensure a fair exchange. Polls indicate a tight race, making this debate crucial in shaping voter opinions. DD India Saeed Absarul Hassan has filed this report.
US presidential television debate will take place on Tuesday. Presidential hopefuls Kamala Harris and Donald Trump will lock horns, which is expected to be watched across the world. US broadcaster ABC News will be holding the 90 minutes debate at National Constitution Center in Philadelphia at 9 p.m. local time and will be aired live. The two candidates have never met in person. US presidential hopeful Kamala Harris is ready to face her opponent Donald Trump in the debate.
Trump wants to jail election workers. Madam Vice President, do you have a reaction?
Madam Vice President, how will you handle it on the debate stage if Trump decides to launch a personal attack?
Are you ready, Madam Vice President?
Former US President and Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump continued his attack on Kamala Harris and accused her to be the worst vice president in the history of the United States.
This wealth fund will return a gigantic profit which will help pay down national debt. We're going to work on national debt very strongly, by the way. We're going to have so much money coming in. We're going to work on national debt. We're close to $36 trillion right now. We're going to work on getting it down. And it is many of the people in this room who will be helping to advise and recommend investments for this fund. This is how we will end the era of inflation, mayhem, and misery under Kamala Harris, the worst vice president in the history of our country.
The rule of the debate is different from other television debates. No opening statements are allowed, but they will be allotted 2 minutes to answer each question, with 2 minutes granted to their opponents for a rebuttal, and there will be an additional minute for a follow-up, clarification, and response against the rebuttal. Pre-written notes and materials are not allowed in the debate. Candidates are given a pen and paper to note down their questions and comments. Questions or topics are not shared in advance with any candidates, and mic of one of the candidate will be muted when the other is speaking. According to polls released, the US presidential race remains neck and neck. Saeed Absarul Hassan reporting for DD India.
From Gerald Ford's catastrophic Soviet gaffe to Ronald Reagan's witty remark about his age and Joe Biden's infamous implosion, U.S. presidential debates have featured jaw-dropping moments. Here's the report mentioning some of the most memorable in modern U.S. politics. Take a look.
Iconic gaffes, scandals, and chaotic moments. This all is not new during U.S. presidential debates. Sweaty Nixon versus confident Kennedy. On September 26, 1960, a first televised debate of its kind, Republican Richard Nixon looked poised to win the election, but the debate did not go well for him. Nixon refused to wear makeup and appeared pale and sweaty, while young Massachusetts Senator John F. Kennedy looked tanned and relaxed. While Nixon addressed the moderator, Kennedy looked at the camera, speaking directly to his voters. Kennedy went on to defeat Nixon at the polls. Ford versus Carter. In the year 1976, the first debate between Republican President Gerald Ford and Democratic challenger Jimmy Carter was marked by a 27-minute loss of audio. The second debate didn't go well for Ford either, when he made a gaffe on Cold War that arguably cost him the presidency. Reagan versus Mondale. Republican President Ronald Reagan was 73 when he ran for the second term against 56-year-old Walter Mondale, but he turned his age into his strength with a witty answer that went down in history. Bush versus Clinton versus Perot. The second presidential debate in the 1992 race pitted incumbent President George Bush against both his future successor Bill Clinton and Ross Perot, an independent candidate. Bush was caught on camera looking at his watch while Clinton talked to an audience member during a town hall debate. Years later, Bush admitted he hated debates. Obama versus Romney. In the year 2012, a debate against President Barack Obama, Republican challenger Mitt Romney lamented that the U.S. Navy had fewer ships presently than it did in 1916. Obama's reply stunned the opponent and the comments went viral. Trump versus Clinton. The second debate of the 2016 U.S. presidential election pitting Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump was particularly vicious, coming shortly after the release of a video in which Trump was heard boasting that his fame allowed him to grope women. The Republican billionaire went after his opponent's husband, former President Bill Clinton, accusing him of being so abusive to women. Trump versus Biden. The first debate of the 2020 presidential election featuring Trump and Democrat Joe Biden devolved into shouting and insults, with Trump constantly interrupting him. Bureau Report, DD India.
U.S. President Joe Biden celebrated the 34th anniversary of the signing of the Americans with Disabilities Act on Monday. Biden highlighted his and Vice President Kamala Harris's commitment in advancing opportunities for people with disabilities by fostering economic transformation. He also praised the efforts of U.S. Paralympic athletes at the Paris Paralympic Games.
But for more than 61 million Americans living with disabilities, these laws are a source of opportunity, respect, and pride, and dignity now. Dignity. Kamala and I have been so determined to move our nation forward for Americans living with disabilities. We're transforming the way the economy works for all Americans. For example, people with disabilities are working more than they ever did before. And our short term, my short term, our short term, is going to be a long term for Kamala, I hope.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken arrived at the United Kingdom ahead of talks with officials about Ukraine and the Middle East on Monday. During the two-day trip, Blinken will meet with senior government officials to discuss issues including the Indo-Pacific, the AUKUS defense pact between U.S., Australia, Britain and the Middle East, and collective efforts to support Ukraine. The visit comes a week after Britain suspended some arms export licenses with Israel over equipment that could be used in the conflict with Gaza. White House National Security spokesperson John Kirby said that the United States cannot confirm reports that Iran had supplied Russia with ballistic missiles.
I cannot confirm the reports that the transfer has happened, but I would point you to what we've said in the past, that any such provision of that kind of technology would not only have a deleterious effect on the Ukrainians' ability to continue to defend themselves and certainly on the lives and livelihoods of Ukrainians, but could, depending on what the deal, how it's consummated, have equally deleterious effects on the Middle East. And Iran that already has an improving ballistic missile program.
Let's get to updates on Israel-Hamas conflict now. EU Foreign Policy Chief Josep Borrell said on Monday that the European Union is ready to leverage its logistics to assist in reopening the border crossing. In a visit to Egypt's side of the Rafah border crossing, Borrell also mentioned sanctions proposed against ministers, agencies and institutions implicated in the illegal expansion of colonies in the West Bank. Borrell toured the border operations guided by the Egyptian Red Crescent and met in Cairo with the country's President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi.
I made a proposal to the Foreign Affairs Council Minister to impose sanctions in 2 Israeli government ministers for hate speech. And the Council discussed about it and decided to go to the technical bodies. It's still not yes, it's still not no. I don't know which will be the final result, but it's still not no. The technical bodies of the Council are working on it. There are not only these 2 ministers, but also some agencies, some institutions which we believe are responsible for the illegal expansion of colonies in the West Bank, which are also being proposed as sanctions.
The United States called on Israel on Monday to complete a full inquiry into the killing of an American-Turkish woman last week in the Israeli-occupied West Bank. In a briefing, U.S. State Department Deputy Spokesperson Vedant Patel urged Israel to quickly and robustly conduct its probe and make the findings public, but confirmed the administration is not planning to independently investigate the killing of Aysenur Ezgi Egi. Meanwhile, hundreds of mourners gathered in Nablus in occupied West Bank to pay respects to the U.S.-Turkish activist.
We have urged a swift, thorough, and transparent investigation and are urgently working to get more information as possible as it relates to the circumstances of her death. We have no higher priority than the safety and security of American citizens, especially those that are abroad. Our understanding is that our partners in Israel are looking into the circumstances of what happened, and we expect them to make their findings public and expect that whatever those findings are, expect them to be thorough and transparent.
And now we take a look at other stories making it to the headlines from across the world. A difficult operation to remove a small amount of radioactive debris from Japan's stricken Fukushima nuclear plant began on Tuesday after technical issues suspended an earlier attempt. Removing the debris from the reactors is regarded as the most daunting challenge in the decades-long decommissioning project. A beluga whale discovered with a harness strapped around its neck in the Norwegian waters 5 years ago and found dead on August 31st had a stick stuck in its mouth, and its death was not related to human activity, Norway police clarified on Monday. Norwegian police had opened an investigation after 2 animal rights groups filed a complaint into the death of the animal. An innovative art book designed specifically to support cancer patients is making waves in the world of therapy and healing. This unique book uses art as a therapeutic tool, offering patients a means of emotional expression, relaxation, and mental escape during their treatment journey. Vintage equipments played by Prince Eddie Van Halen or Oasis Noel Gallagher to an Abbey Road Studios piano. A collection of popular culture items are now on show in London before going under the hammer at Sotheby's auction. From vintage guitars to keyboards that played a role in shaping the soundtracks of generations, this auction is a celebration of popular culture and the influential artistry that came with it. You're watching DD India News Hour. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, former Venezuelan presidential candidate Gonzalez pledges to continue fight for the opposition. Typhoon Yagi creates havoc in northern Vietnam, hit by most powerful storm in 30 years. Kate Middleton announces completion of preventive chemotherapy for cancer.
complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. At least 2 parliamentarians were detained in late-night swoops in Islamabad on the members of party of jailed former Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan. Party leader Zulfikar Bukhari, a former minister, told journalists that among those picked up by police was PTI chairman Gohar Khan. A third man, a senior PTI member, was also picked up from his office. The detentions came a day after PTI held a major political gathering on the outskirts of the city demanding Khan's release. Khan's party, Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, won the most seats in a general election in February, but a coalition of his rivals was able to form a government led by Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif. Venezuela's opposition leader, Maria Corina Machado, said that former presidential candidate Edmundo Gonzalez would continue to fight for the opposition from Spain, while she would continue to do so within Venezuela. Venezuelan opposition presidential candidate Edmundo Gonzalez flew to Spain to seek asylum hours after quitting his country amid a political and diplomatic crisis over July's disputed election. Venezuelan Vice President Delcy Rodriguez said authorities had given Gonzalez safe passage in a bid to restore political peace. Spain's foreign ministry said there had been no official talks with the Venezuelan government on the exit of Gonzalez. The opposition is pressing for more street protests and international pressure for its victory to be recognized. In Sri Lanka, as the presidential election draws near, the National Election Commission has been issuing guidelines for the conduct of the polls. The poll body had summoned all the candidates contesting the presidential election in the island nation and their representatives for a discussion. The meeting focused on election finance regulations and other guidelines. At the meeting, some candidates shared their concerns with the Election Commission on the use of state resources and the conduct of certain media institutions as well. Also, a separate discussion was held with election observers at the National Election Commission. The presidential election is scheduled to be held on 21st of September. All right, Dr. Ahmed Muin Farooqi joins us from Colombo. Ahmed, good morning. We've just given a broad outline of the preparations put in ahead of the Sri Lanka polls on September 21st. Help us understand the political landscape of the country and how crucial are these polls, because we've seen how Sri Lanka has been making attempts at, coming back from the, bringing its fragile economy back on track.
Good morning, Preeti, and very good morning to all our viewers. Primarily speaking, yes, this is a very important election. You see, this is an election that is going to elect the president. The incumbent president, Ranil Wickremesinghe, is seeking a re-election on the basis of his policies that helped revive the Sri Lankan economy during the difficult phase of the economic crisis. However, that economic crisis was something which had witnessed a huge economic and political turmoil, which had forced the then president, Gotabaya Rajapaksa, to resign and flee the country. Currently speaking, we have 3 primary frontrunners. Certain also say there are 4 frontrunners, but the incumbent president, Ranil Wickremesinghe, is one. The opposition leader and the leader of SJV, Samagi Jana Balavegia, that is Sajid Premadasa, is the second, and a leftist leader leading the NPP Alliance, National People's Power Alliance, is Anurakumara Dissanayaka. Now, yesterday, all these candidates and the other candidates, totaling 38, they met the Election Commission officials. The Election Commission has also given them clear guidelines as to what will be the financial restrictions and the primary do's and don'ts with regard to the expenditure. At the same time, Election Commission is very critical that the violations should not happen in terms of the Presidential Elections Act of 1981, which primarily lays down the guidelines on do's and don'ts. It's something similar to what we have in India as the Model Code of Conduct. And this is something which is akin to that. In addition, the Election Commission has also made it clear to all the private vehicle owners that they should not display, campaign material on their vehicles. That would tantamount to violation of the Presidential Election Act as well. Preeti.
All right, Ahmed, also help us understand, you've talked of the priorities for the government, but for the, the new regime that takes over, what would be the challenges ahead? And also very quickly, get us a sense of who all are in contention for the top post in Sri Lanka.
Pretty, as primarily speaking, if you talk about the current economy, the state of the economy, of course, stability is there, but still Sri Lanka is not yet out of the woods. So as to speak further into this, the IMF deal is still currently going on. There's an extended fund facility that will be available for the next another 3 years. Thereafter, from 2029 onwards, the country has to manage to repay the debt. There is a moratorium till 2028 ends, and 2029 onwards, the debt has to be paid, the external debt. Now, these are big challenges for the new government, whichever will take over. That is one. Second thing is revival of the economy also will depend on, there are a few other sectors which needs to be revived. One is the apparel sector, which has been facing tremendous challenges because of the global recession. At the same time, there are also issues pertaining to increase in the tourist arrivals also. In fact, Sri Lanka, which is a tourism favorite, has been trying to bring the tourist arrivals level to pre-COVID levels. There has been a change over the last 2 years, but they are hoping that they will touch 3 million tourist arrivals in 2025, thereby taking the earnings from the tourism sector further higher. Apart from this, there are primary issues related to the governance and the policies here, which includes anti-corruption policies as well as creation of jobs. So these are the challenges which the new governments will face, and these are the things which the candidates are talking about. The opposition candidate has always been attacking the incumbent government, saying that they were complicit with the Rajapakshas. They were also ineffective in handling the crises well, in terms of alleviating the hardship of the poor, of the people who are under the poverty line in Sri Lanka. Meanwhile, you mentioned that who are the primary contenders. Yes, the incumbent President Ranil Wickremesinghe, he has a certain loyal vote base. He is seeking a re-election. He's also riding on the fact that several of the SLPP lawmakers have joined him, and many other smaller parties have rallied behind him. The second candidate is the opposition leader, Sajith Premadasa. He has been vocal, very, very vocal, saying that the economic crisis has hit the country hard, and the government has further troubled the poor in terms of increase in the taxes and increase in the electricity tariffs and various other facilities that the government provides. And the third candidate is the NPP leader, Anura Kumara Dissanayaka, who's a leftist leader.
All right, Ahmed, we leave it here. Thank you so much for joining in with those details. All right, tracking other news now. Mexico's outgoing president's proposals to allow voters to elect judges face a final hurdle in Congress against a backdrop of opposition street protests. Lawmakers in the upper house, the Senate, are due to discuss President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador's judicial reform plan before a vote that could take place the same or the next day. The leftist leader, who will be replaced by his close ally Claudia Sheinbaum on October 1st, in fact, argues that the courts serve the interests of the political and economic elite. The bill was passed just week in the lower house by ruling party lawmakers and their allies. Opposition parties have vowed to vote against the proposals. Thousands of people, including court employees and law students, protested in Mexico City on Sunday against the plan, under which even Supreme Court judges would be chosen by popular vote. U.S. police officers were combing a dense forest on Monday to locate a man 3 days after he was suspected of shooting open fire on a highway, injuring 5 people. Schools were closed and residents were urged not to be home alone as police used a helicopter, drones and dogs to aid them in their search in rural Kentucky in southeast United States. Authorities have offered a $5,000 reward for any information regarding Couch. Now, the incident comes after a 14-year-old boy was arrested for allegedly shooting 2 teachers and 2 students dead at a high school in Georgia on Wednesday. Germany is extending temporary border controls that it already has in place at some of its borders to all of its land borders to tackle irregular migration. Germany's Interior Ministry said that they would be asking for temporary internal border controls at the land borders with France, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, Belgium and Denmark for a period of 6 months. The German government has been consulting with the main opposition party on ways to curb migration and following a deadly knife attack by a Syrian asylum seeker last month in the city of Solingen. Meanwhile, Austria's Interior Minister Gerhard Karner said on Monday that his country would not take in any migrants turned away by Germany at the border. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un said that the country is now implementing a nuclear force construction policy to increase the number of nuclear weapons exponentially. Kim said that North Korea must thoroughly prepare its nuclear capability and its readiness to use it properly at any given time in ensuring the security rights of the state. A strong military presence is needed to face the various threats posed by the US and its followers. Australia will ban children from using social media with a minimum age limit as high as 16. Federal legislation to keep children off social media will be introduced this year, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said, describing the impact of sites on young people as a scourge. An age verification trial will be conducted in the coming months before the legislation is introduced by the end of the year. Let's get you weather updates from across the globe now. The death toll from Super Typhoon Yagi jumped to 59 in Vietnam. Around 250 others were injured in flood-related incidents. Yagi, according to meteorologists, the most powerful typhoon to hit northern Vietnam in 30 years, downed bridges, tore roofs off the buildings and damaged factories after making landfall on Saturday, carrying winds in excess of 149 kilometers per hour. Some 1.5 million people were still without electricity in Vietnam on Monday, and a major bridge across the swollen and fast-moving Red River collapsed in northern Phu Tho province. Power blackouts caused major disruptions in factories in northern Vietnam, which is a major production hub for global tech firms such as Samsung and Foxconn. The north was also battling serious flooding on Monday, with several communities partially underwater. Disaster authorities said 130 locations in 17 cities and provinces across Vietnam's north were at high risk of flooding and landslides as more rain is expected in the coming days. At least 11 people have been killed and 9 others went missing after torrential rains battered southern Morocco. The heavy rainfall also caused significant material damage, including the collapse of 40 homes and damage to 93 road sections. Heavy rains also disrupted electricity, drinking water supply networks and telephone networks. Earlier, 200 people and 96 earth-moving machines have been deployed to restore traffic in the affected regions. The Interior Ministry urged local residents and visitors to exercise extreme caution due to unstable weather. The Amazon in Brazil is facing one of the most severe droughts in recent years. Water levels in the rivers have fallen and access to clean water has become an uphill task for the locals. Our next report gets you more details.
In the heart of the Brazilian Amazon, a drought is putting lives at risk. The usually lush and vibrant region is facing an unprecedented water crisis as rivers dry up. Residents are struggling as they have to walk miles to fetch water. The plummeting water levels in rivers have deprived them of their traditional source of water. Now they are forced to buy tanks. The costs are taking a toll on the already impoverished rural community.
Without water, nobody lives. There is no way. Here, you can get water day and night. There is always water. I don't charge a penny. I pay for the water, but I don't charge them anything.
The elderly and sick are amongst the hardest hit, facing severe health risks as access to clean water becomes increasingly scarce.
About 800 meters, that's the distance of the beach. Now imagine a person in the hot sun, people with high blood pressure doing this journey. It gets difficult, very difficult. That is why we saw the need to mobilize.
The drought has been aggravated by wildfires, deforestation and rising temperatures. To make the situation worse, the Brazilian Geological Service has warned that water levels in more rivers in the Amazon basin are expected to hit historical lows. Bureau Report, DD India.
A fast-growing wildfire forces evacuations in Southern California, and it also shows the danger of the danger, in fact, the state now faces as record-smashing heat waves dry out the landscapes just as Santa Ana wind season is due to begin. More than 10,000 people are under mandatory evacuation orders due to a fast-spreading, uncontrolled wildfire in the state. The line fire also threatens thousands of homes, businesses and other buildings in San Bernardino County, that is east of Los Angeles. American actor James Earl Jones, the revered actor who voiced Star Wars villain Darth Vader, died on Monday at the age of 93 as Hollywood stars mourn his demise. Jones was also acclaimed for lending his voice to King Mufasa in Disney's animated feature, The Lion King. Jones, a long-time sufferer of diabetes, died at his home surrounded by family members, as per his agent Barry McPherson, though no cause of death was provided. Kate Middleton, Britain's Princess of Wales, announced on Monday that she had finished her course of preventive chemotherapy for cancer and would be carrying out a handful of public engagements later this year. But she added that her path to recovery would be long. As part of the latest announcement, Kensington Palace released a highly personal video of Kate with William and their 3 children. Further, she said that the last 9 months have been incredibly tough and the cancer journey is complex, scary and unpredictable for everyone. 42-year-old Kate underwent major abdominal surgery in January, which revealed the presence of cancer and has been undergoing treatment since then. You're watching DD India News Hour. We're heading for a short break. Stay with us. Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. A quick relook at the top stories now. The presidential race remains neck to neck as the US awaits the first presidential debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump on Tuesday. EU Foreign Policy Chief says European Union ready to offer logistical capacities to reopen Rafah border, urges political solution for Gaza conflict. US markets give thumbs up as Apple unveils new iPhone series built for generative artificial intelligence. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar visited Riyadh, Saudi Arabia for the first ever India-GCC joint ministerial meeting for strategic dialogue. Foreign ministers of all the GCC countries and Secretary General of the GCC attended the meeting. Dr. S. Jaishankar underscored the significance of the strategic and growing partnership between the Gulf Cooperation Council and India. Here's a report.
India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has stressed that India has consistently stood for the resolution of the Palestinian issue through a two-state solution. While addressing the first India-Gulf Cooperation Council Foreign Ministers meeting in Saudi Arabia's capital Riyadh, Dr. Jaishankar called for a ceasefire in Gaza as soon as possible.
The current situation in Gaza is now understandably our foremost concern. India's position in this regard has been principled and consistent. While we condemn acts of terrorism and hostage-taking, we are deeply pained by the continuing death of innocent civilians. Any response must take into account the principles of humanitarian law. We support a ceasefire as soon as possible. On the larger issue, we have consistently stood for a resolution of the Palestinian issue through a two-state solution.
The External Affairs Minister added that the relationship between India and the GCC is rooted in a rich tapestry of history, culture, and shared values.
The GCC is a cornerstone of global energy supply. India is one of the world's largest and fastest growing markets. Much of the future demand is going to come from us. Our deeper collaboration will help in stabilizing markets, driving innovation, and enhancing energy security.
On Monday, Dr. Jaishankar also held a series of meetings with his GCC counterparts, during which he reviewed the progress in bilateral relations and discussed ways to further deepen them. Dr. Jaishankar held a meeting with Qatar's Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman Al Thani on the margins of the GCC meeting. Dr. Jaishankar also met Saudi Arabia's Foreign Minister Faisal bin Farhan Al Saud. Both the leaders took stock of the progress in India-Saudi Arabia bilateral relations and shared perspective on global and regional issues. The External Affairs Minister said he looked forward to welcoming his Saudi Arabia counterpart in India. Dr. Jaishankar also met the Brazilian Foreign Minister Mauro Vieira. The discussions covered key multilateral issues including G20, BRICS, and the ongoing Ukraine conflict. The External Affairs Minister also met his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov on the sidelines of the GCC meeting in Riyadh. He also met his Omani counterpart Badr al-Busaidi, Bahrain's Foreign Minister Dr. Abdullah bin Rashid al-Zayani, and Kuwaiti Foreign Minister Abdullah Ali al-Yahya. The GCC region has emerged as a major trading partner for India and is home to a large Indian expatriate community numbering around 8.9 million. After the Riyadh meetings, Dr. Jaishankar left for Germany. With Vinod Kumar, Bureau Report, DD India.
After concluding his visit to Saudi Arabia, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar is visiting Germany. This will be his third visit as a minister to Berlin. Both India and Germany share a robust strategic partnership, and Germany is one of India's prominent trading partners and among the largest foreign direct investors. Thereafter, the minister will travel to Switzerland for an official visit on 12th and 13th of September. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi, Sheikh Khalid bin Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, held talks in New Delhi. They expressed satisfaction at the substantial progress achieved in the India-UAE Comprehensive Strategic Partnership. India and the UAE have strong trade ties with an aim to take non-oil bilateral trade to $100 billion by 2030. We get to more in this report.
The bonhomie between the two leaders was clearly visible, taking India-UAE ties to new heights. A day after the Crown Prince Sheikh Khalid bin Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan of Abu Dhabi arrived in New Delhi, he met Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Monday. The two leaders expressed satisfaction over the substantial progress achieved in recent years in the India-UAE Comprehensive Strategic Partnership and discussed opportunities to further widen and deepen the partnership in all areas of bilateral cooperation. They acknowledged that the success of the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement and the recent entry into force of the Bilateral Investment Treaty will provide further impetus to the strong economic and commercial partnership between the two countries. They also underscored the need to explore new areas of untapped potential, particularly in nuclear energy, critical minerals, green hydrogen, artificial intelligence, and cutting-edge technologies.
We've witnessed a 16% increase in trade, non-oil bilateral trade between the UAE and India, reaching over $50 billion US, and we aim to make that around $100 billion US by 2030.
Number of MOUs were signed during the visit, which set the stage for enhancing cooperation in traditional as well as new areas of cooperation. Among the various MOUs signed, the MOU on nuclear cooperation, the agreement for long-term LNG supply between Abu Dhabi National Civil Company and the Indian Oil Corporation Limited, the MOU between ADNOC and India Strategic Petroleum Reserve Limited, production concession aimed for Abu Dhabi onshore Block 1 between Urja Bharat and ADNOC, the MOU between Government of Gujarat and Abu Dhabi Development Holding Company on food parks development in India.
In terms of exports to the UAE, India equates to about $2.62 billion in terms of agriculture and its allied commodities during the financial year 2021 and 2022, which is an increase of over 35%.
The Crown Prince later called on President Draupadi Murmu at the iconic Rashtrapati Bhavan, the official residence of the President of India in New Delhi. The discussions covered warm, historic and comprehensive ties between the two countries and several initiatives taken in recent years. President Murmu expressed her gratitude to the leadership of the UAE for hosting more than 3.5 million Indians. The Crown Prince later visited Rajghat and paid tributes to Mahatma Gandhi. He became the third-generation leader from the UAE to plant a sapling at Rajghat, following his grandfather Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan, the former president of UAE, in 1992. His father, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, who is the current president, also planted a sapling in 2016. This was a unique and rare occasion, showcasing the generational continuity of strong relationship between the two countries. This is the first time in history of Rajghat that leaders from 3 generations of a country have planted trees honoring the Mahatma. On Tuesday, Crown Prince Sheikh Khalid bin Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan will be interacting with the Business Forum in India's financial capital Mumbai. Both countries are exploring new avenues for collaboration. This is Al Nahyan's first visit to India as a Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi. The UAE is among the top 4 investors in India, with stakes in infrastructure, energy and real estate.
The vice chiefs of all the 3 Indian armed forces flew the indigenous light combat aircraft Tejas for the first time during a multilateral exercise in northwestern state of Rajasthan on Monday. Jodhpur Air Force Station is hosting the second phase of multilateral exercise Tarang Shakti from August 29 to September 15. During the event, Air Marshal A.P. Singh of the Air Force flew the single-seater LCA Tejas fighter jet, while the Navy and Army vice chiefs flew in the twin-seater trainer version of the LCA. Air Force of 8 nations, including India, are participating with their assets, and 16 other nations are witnessing the exercise as an observer country. Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana accomplishes its successful 4th anniversary today. Launched in the year 2020 by Prime Minister Narendra Modi with the vision of fulfilling the objectives of Atmanirbhar Bharat or self-reliant India, the scheme gave a boost to India's blue revolution. It took fisheries sector to the next level while enhancing production and productivity, strengthening fisheries infrastructure with fisheries welfare at the centre. As India stands a 3rd position in global fish production, fisheries and aquaculture activities are an important source of food, nutrition and employment generation, an important source of livelihood for about 30 million fishers and fish farmers in the country. India's new permanent representative to the United Nations, Parvata Neni Harish, presented the credentials to the UN Secretary General at the UN headquarters. Harish conveyed Prime Minister Modi and External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar's greetings to the UN chief. Harish arrived in New York last week to take charge as India's envoy to the world body. He hit the ground running and held bilateral meetings with several top UN leaders and his global counterparts. The nationwide protests continued in response to the brutal rape and murder of a young doctor at R.G. Kar Medical College and Hospital. This decision comes despite a Supreme Court directed the West Bengal doctors to return to work immediately. As during the hearing on Monday, Chief Justice D.Y. Chandrachud directed the protesting doctors to get back to work by 5 p.m. on Tuesday and assured them that there will be no adverse action if they resume duty. But the doctors have emphasized that their demonstration is part of a larger people's movement, urging both the government and judiciary to recognize this fact. Let's get to weather updates from across India now. Torrential rain disrupted normal life and caused flooding in several districts of eastern Indian state of Odisha owing to deep depression over Bay of Bengal that is likely to bring more misery to the state. Malkangiri district in southern Odisha was the worst affected, with administration announcing closure of schools and Anganwadi centers on Tuesday in the wake of severe flooding in the district. Over 1,000 people have been evacuated from flood-affected areas of Malkangiri and Koraput districts. The IMD predicted more rain and issued a red alert for 10 districts till Tuesday, prompting more preparedness from the state administration. All right, a quick look at other stories making it to the headlines from across India. PC manufacturer HP India is poised to enter into an agreement with Paget Electronics, a subsidiary of Dixon Technologies, to produce notebooks, desktops and all-in-one PCs. The collaboration took place under the Production-Linked Incentive 2.0 scheme. It is expected to generate 1,500 direct jobs. Once fully operational, it aims to produce 2 million units annually. In a major relief amidst the wolf attacks in Uttar Pradesh's Bharuch, Forest Department has captured the 5th wolf on Tuesday morning. The wolf was taken to a rescue shelter of the Forest Department. With this, only one wolf is left now. Meanwhile, the Bharuch district administration has built shelter homes to protect the villagers from the menace. Uttar Pradesh's Mathura is all geared up to celebrate Radha Ashtami, the birth anniversary of Hindu goddess Radharani. On Wednesday, the festival will kick off with vibrant decorations at the temples, including the Ladli Ji temple in Barsana. Devotees will offer prayers and chant hymns in honor of Radharani. You're watching DD India News. We're heading for a short break. Stay with us. Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News. Let's get to updates from the world of business now. Big tech major Apple unveiled its artificial intelligence boosted iPhone 16 range of smartphones at its flagship Glow Time event on Monday. Apple is betting the AI feature will drive consumers to upgrade amid a slowdown in iPhone sales. Apple Intelligence, the company's AI software, will be used to improve personal assistant Siri, as well as enhancing features such as understanding and identifying objects captured by the phone camera. A test version of Apple Intelligence will be available in the US version of English next month. Apple also unveiled iPhone 16 Pro and 16 Pro Max, titanium models with a faster chip, the A18 Pro and more AI capability. The iPhone 16 Pro will start at $999 and 16 Pro Max starts at $1,199. Apple also unveiled new watches and AirPods with health-focused capabilities as well as hardware design improvements. The iPhone 16 lineup is the first Apple smartphones designed around these AI features, though those are expected also to be available on iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max, the top-end versions of the previous generation devices. Google is set to face its second antitrust trial since September 2023 against the Department of Justice over its alleged monopolistic power in the ad tech industry. This legal battle, taking place in a federal district court in Alexandria in Virginia, will center on allegations that Google has unlawfully maintained dominance in multiple facets of the online advertising ecosystem. The lawsuit, initiated in January last year by the Biden administration's Department of Justice, has gained support from 17 state attorney generals. Also central to the case is the accusation that Google leveraged its leading search engine to enter the digital ad market, later solidifying its hold by acquiring competitions. Wall Street's three major indices closed higher on Monday as investors looked for bargains after the previous week's sell-off. Investors had fled from equities last week when Friday's weaker-than-expected August jobs data followed weak manufacturing data on Tuesday, driving the Nasdaq Composite and S&P 500's biggest weekly decline. The S&P 500 gained 62,631 to end 5,471.05 points, while the Nasdaq Composite gained 1.16% to 16,884.6 points. The Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 1.2% to 40,829.59. The fourth edition of the Global Renewable Energy Investors Meet and Expo 4th Reinvest will be held from 16 to 18 September 2024 at Mahatma Mandir, Gandhinagar, Gujarat. Union Minister for New and Renewable Energy Prasar Joshi took stock of the preparations. Tapas Bhattacharya gets us more.
India's premier renewable energy event, Reinvest 2024, will kickstart from September 16 to 18th at Mahatma Mandir, Gandhinagar, Gujarat. This is the fourth edition of the Global Renewable Energy Investors Meet and Expo that will showcase the latest in renewable energy innovation, bringing together global leaders, investors and experts.
And this RV Investor Meet, first time it is being organized out of Delhi. Otherwise, all other three, one virtually, two physically, they were organized in Delhi itself. The first ever conference, it is being held here, and 16th, this is being inaugurated by Honorable Prime Minister of the country.
Union Minister of New and Renewable Energy Prasar Joshi reviewed the preparations for the fourth Global Renewable Energy Investors Meet and Expo. During his visit, he closely monitored the progress and ensured that all arrangements are on track for the upcoming event.
This RE Investor Meet has been organized in Gandhinagar from 16th to 18th. RE Invest 2024 aims to highlight the India's significant achievement in the renewable energy sector, including the manufacturing and development, deployment. This will also help because many other representatives of the various countries, बाकी देशों से भी लोग, industry leaders, ministers, delegations आ रहा है, इसीलिए this will help to connect the global investor community with Indian energy stakeholders.
The conference will span 2.5 days, featuring around 50 sessions on the latest trends, technologies and policies in renewable energy. With over 200 exhibitors, the expo will showcase groundbreaking products and services offering unmatched network opportunities. Tapas Bhattacharya's report for DD India.
All right, now we turn focus to sports. We will talk of sports. India suffered a 0-3 loss to Syria in their second and final Intercontinental Cup 2024 match in Hyderabad on Monday. The loss meant that India finished last in the tournament behind Mauritius on the goal difference. Up against a side ranked 93rd in the FIFA World Rankings, India conceded an early 7th-minute goal. Despite creating many chances in the second half, it was Syria who scored the second against the run of play. A third goal in the 96th minute was the final dagger. Meanwhile, new head coach Manolo Marquez suffered his first loss as India's coach, and he is yet to neither win a game nor see his side score a goal. In UEFA Nations League, Ousmane Dembele's stunner helped France to a relatively comfortable 2-0 victory over Belgium on Monday. Dembele thundered in a blistering second goal for Les Bleus 12 minutes after the interval in Lyon. Randall Kolo Muani had earlier hammered France into the lead against the run of play, with Belgium having shaded the opening exchanges. Didier Deschamps' side ultimately made their fortune count, and a much more accomplished second-half display was capped off by Dembele's excellent solo strike. Also, Mbappe was sent on midway through the second half and had two good chances but was unable to get on the score sheet. In-form Germany wants to build on the strong start to the Nations League when they take on the Netherlands in Amsterdam on Tuesday night. Julian Nagelsmann's side opened their campaign with a resounding 5-0 win against Hungary on Saturday and arrive in Dutch capital full of confidence. The new-look German side, without the recently retired Thomas Müller, Toni Kroos and Manuel Neuer, have set their sights on the 2026 World Cup after their quarter-final run at the Euros on home soil in July. Meanwhile, in the other Group A3 match on Tuesday, Hungary will host Bosnia in Budapest. Patham Nissanka's brilliant 100 led Sri Lanka to a rare test victory against England in their home ground. Sri Lanka reached their target of 219 with an untroubled ease on the fourth day at the Oval, with Nissanka's unbeaten 127 leading them to a consolation win in a 2-1 series defeat. After the impressive end to the final session on Sunday, Sri Lanka resumed at 94 for 1, needing a further 125 to win, which the visitors reached in a little over 2 hours. Sri Lanka finished on 219 for 2 to win by 8 wickets. In other news, thousands of devotees bid a grand and emotional farewell to Lord Ganesha on Monday by immersing the idols of Lord Ganesha across India. Chants of Ganpati Bappa Moria urging the Lord to return early next year filled the air as devotees took their idols to beaches and artificial water bodies for immersion during Ganesh Visarjan. It is believed that the god who comes to the earthly realms on Ganesh Chaturthi returns to his celestial abode after immersion. All right, that's it in this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the respective QR codes on your screens. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.